All right, welcome back everyone to Boise Entrepreneur Week. My name is Nick Miller. I'm the Executive Director at the Boise State Venture College, and I am here with the founders of Revonate, Paul Hlatky and Gabe Blanchet. Gabe and Paul, welcome to Boise Entrepreneur Week.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, psyched to be here.
Yeah, so we wanted to bring you in today to talk about a variety of things, specifically your company, Revonate, which is just launched in August, correct?
Yep, that's when we launched the beta of our service offering.
Cool. So maybe tell me just a little bit about yourselves, your background, how you met, and how Revonate got started.
Yeah. So Gabe and I actually go way back. We met in college. We were both in Boston. I went to Boston University. He was at MIT. We were some of the only young kids hanging out at all the startup events. And so we just got to know each other, have kept in touch and reconnected.
More than that, Paul. Paul was actually organized. One of his earliest sort of entrepreneurial endeavors was organizing a group, and he selected people from each school. I was MIT's representative, and he would actually sort of email out about startup events. And so even from the time we met, Paul was sort of in an organizing capacity, starting something. I ended up selling that to the Capital.
Yeah, the Capital Network.
Building community among student entrepreneurs and trying to create that.
Yeah, essentially.
Community.
Yeah, Boston transplants students that wanted to get better integrated into the growing startup community in Boston. It's actually pretty analogous to what we're trying to do here in Boise today, and one of the reasons that we chose it as our headquarters.
So I'm not going to make any guesses at your age other than you're younger than me, but I'm assuming that was some time ago.
Yeah.
So between then and now, tell me about Revonate coming together with the two of you, and then tell me a little bit about why Boise. Why'd you choose to launch here?
Yeah, totally. Just to take it back a little bit, that was about 10, 12 years ago, to be transparent with you and the audience here. And since then, I started and raised capital for and built a team for an indoor farming technology company right out of MIT, and then sold that to a large Korean appliance company in 2018. That's when I moved to Boise.
Okay.
And at that point, I bought a few single-family homes and renovated them. And through that process, really learned what it's like to work with general contractors, with subcontractors, and myself. I mean, I was definitely swinging the hammer and involved. It was a great experience. But learned about some of the frustrations, which we'll double click on more. But that's what brings us into sort of build tech, and specifically when Paul and I connected around home renovation. We just sparks started flying there in about February this year.
Gotcha.
And then, Paul, why don't you tell them about your background?
And basically, I graduated college and I built a career in software sales, specifically leadership roles. I was the first head of sales at 3 venture-backed companies, brought them more or less from like pre-revenue to tens of millions of ARR. I've always wanted to start my own company, and in fact, when the pandemic hit, I actually moved to Las Vegas, bought and completely remodeled the place with my brother. And let me tell you, that was a frustrating experience to say the least. And frankly started like inspiring a bit of what Revonate is today. And then fast forward a few months later, I reconnected with Gabe and I thought, wow, we have an old friend of mine who has experience building a product team that has software, hardware, a whole marketing, go-to-market function. With my expertise from a sales leadership capacity, I think we could be a dynamic duo to really disrupt this market. So that's really what brought us together.
Gotcha. Yeah, I love the fact that you were both swinging hammers and going through that experience, and now you're trying to make that experience for the people going through that on both sides much better. So experiencing that problem yourself, discovering that, and then working about to solve it. So I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about build tech more broadly, and then dive into Revonate more specifically. Obviously, before you jump into something like this, you're looking at what the future of that market is. What's the size of it? What's the opportunity for you? So maybe if either one of you want to talk about what that looks like today, what the landscape for build tech is like today, and then we can dive into your company a little bit more specifically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so build tech, prop tech, construction tech, pretty sort of broad terms, but the built environment is one of the biggest markets in the world. I mean, you've got trillions and trillions of dollars of assets, commercial, residential, all over the world. So the whole category is just huge, and often has been sort of a laggard to adopt new technologies. What we've seen in the past, let's call it about 10 years, is especially at the higher end of the market, commercial properties, et cetera, starting to adopt things like digital twins, the ability to sort of digitize all the analog information that used to be just on paper plans and stuff, the ability to track how construction's happening, where material inputs are coming into and flowing out from. There's still a lot of work to be done there and value to be created by startups and incumbents in the commercial industry and big builds. What Paul and I are particularly excited about, given our backgrounds both in technology and our backgrounds just personally renovating homes now, is to bring some of those best practices and sort of forward-thinking technologies into residential building. So definitely new builds, there's a lot to be done there, but we think remodels particularly interesting because you're dealing with unique as-built environments. Every home's different,
right?
And so if you can digitize that and then create workflows, create key materials choices, designs specific to that home, and you could do that at scale using technology, we think there's tremendous potential there. So home maintenance and improvement is a $430 billion spend category in the U.S.
Gotcha.
Major remodels, which is our focus, is about $120 billion a year in the U.S. So these are just ginormous markets where you've got sort of frustration, definitely on the homeowner side or on the property owner side, even in sort of small commercial. But also, maybe Paul, you can speak a little bit to the contractor experience and the dynamics there.
Yeah. So if we think about the equation that you need the housing stock, you need the homeowner and their purse strings, and you need the tradespeople that can actually do the work.
Yep.
There is not as much scarcity in terms of housing stock. There's affordability issue, sure, and there's home equity buildup, especially in a place like Boise. So people have the money, they have the resources to go ahead and do these remodels. What they find difficult is actually getting the right contractor to do the job. And so we recognize that they're the scarce resource. They're the really interesting part of this equation that really want to focus on. You think about us as a connective tissue, as the interface between a homeowner and their vague concept of what they want to do to their home and what a general contractor can actually build for them in that physical environment. In fact, Revonate, as a public benefit corporation, we exist to benefit the income, the productivity, and the perception of tradespeople that build around the world. If we're doing our job right, we're turning a process that's typically nightmarish and frustrating and making it delightful, rewarding, and simple.
Yeah, so I mean, what I'm hearing is in service of the contractors and the end users, the end customers there, but also leveraging technology to just make that experience more pleasurable and less frustrating on all sides, which, as someone who is going, well, we're almost done with our remodel. I wish you guys were about 12 months earlier, I guess.
I'll be there for your next one.
I appreciate that. So just, I know we have just a few minutes left, but over the past 3 weeks, I guess it was 3 weeks ago, we ran Hacking for Home Building, which you all participated in. And part of the motivation behind that was we have a lot of industry partners in the build tech, home construction industry that are looking at themselves and saying, we have to change the way that we do this. Yep. And companies like yours popping up here in Boise is something that they're heavily invested in. They want to see this happen. So tell us about your experience with Hacking for Home Building and what it was like getting that industry access. Did it change the way that you think about what you're doing? Just how it informed where you are today.
Yeah, absolutely. We're incredibly proud to call Boise headquarters for Revonate. And the past 3 weeks, as we've gone through this Hacking for Home Building, we've really developed deep, connections that we knew were out there. But here's a program, a condensed hackathon format, where we were able to connect with building material suppliers, contractors, builders, of a decent amount of the housing stock that's going up around here, remodelers. So in a very condensed format, we were able to form a lot of these industry connections in town that we knew were out there, but this really sort of galvanized us around specific problem statements. So with Revonate, we launched our service offering in August, and we've been working hard at that, doubling revenue every month through October, and I think in November we'll do the same. So we're really focused on that. Hacking for home building was an opportunity for us to look up a bit, engage with industry in a way that sometimes as entrepreneurs, we sort of stay focused on what we think our problem and solution is. Here we were able to develop some great connections in Boise, which is really poised, and we should double click on this a bit, to be a construction technology hub. We have the key ingredients here, and a sort of blue collar work ethic. They're not afraid to actually get hands dirty and build things, build physical things. This isn't Silicon Valley. We can build homes. There's a lot of modular building going on around here. Of course, so hacking for home building was an awesome chance for us to really understand and connect and network and really work pretty hard, nights and a weekend in there, to develop a solution to a specific industry problem. It was really a fantastic experience.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
And I'll just echo by saying that when we're successful, Boise will be considered a build tech capital of the United States, and tradespeople will have a positive perception, an increase of productivity, and hopefully everyone will make a little bit more money because of it.
Yeah. Well, you heard it here first. Build tech capital of the United States. I like it. Where can our audience find you? If someone's getting ready to do a remodel or a contractor is out there, where can they find Revonate?
Yeah, absolutely. Our website's www.revonate.co. That's probably the best place, though. Happy to have them connect with both Paul and myself on LinkedIn,
cool.
Et cetera. Yeah, excited to engage with both homeowners, property owners, and contractors as we reinvent renovation.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys, and best of luck to you. I know we'll see you a little bit later today in the Hacking for Home Building.
Yeah, really looking forward to seeing the results.
And thank you for sharing some time with us. Up next, we have another Build Tech session, Tales of the First Customer. But before that, a word from our sponsors.